I feel very empty. You know, I need a helper. I need a girlfriend.
This is Matthew, and he's the loneliest man in Los Angeles. But it was in meeting him, I was able to learn something quite significant. Let me explain. What's up? It's Fitz, and I have a bone to pick with romantic loneliness. Not because of how it makes me feel on the inside, but because of how it makes me look. I mean, I just turned 23, and by now, I feel like it's fairly expected to be seen to have gone through at least one relationship before. But I have had absolutely zero. And I feel like that is enough grounds for people to make all types of assumptions about me. Like he got no riz, he hella awkward around women, nobody wants to date him, and while all of those things could be true, I don't like it when you think them. But like, why though? You feel me? Like, why should I care what you think about my relationship status? Ain't there like 8 billion of y'all? Are all your opinions really that I'm sorry. You know, perhaps I have a subconscious ideal of what a man should be and hate when I'm seen as anything different. Maybe the little boy in me that got called ugly in high school doesn't want to relive that. Maybe I just don't want to be seen as incapable, unattractive, or undesirable. Or maybe it's just all of the above. Whatever the case may be, I know that I can't one day get into a relationship off of the fear of what it looks like not to be in one. But how do I even begin to deconstruct that? How do I start to free myself from the romantic expectations of the world around me? I thought to myself as I walked down the streets of Hollywood Boulevard, who could possibly be the bearer of such knowledge? And that's when I looked to my right. There was a man standing with a sign that boldly proclaimed, "Not homeless, seeking girlfriend." And when I saw that sign, only one thought came to my head. Yo, he just like me for real. It was at that moment I knew that if this man had no problem holding up such a gorgeous sign in front of thousands of tourists proclaiming his loneliness, he would be the perfect person to teach me how to deal with their judgments. This is all I've documented, all I've learned, and this is Matthew, the loneliest man in Los Angeles. After Matthew agreed to our filming session, he decided to show me his special sign spot, describing exactly why it was so meaningful to him.
For 9 years, I sat here on Hollywood Boulevard with long hair, dirty clothes, drinking like an alcoholic, and doing drugs. I was right here. This is me and my crew's spot. You know, I got up off the streets, and I have every single thing that I need. And basically, what I'm looking for is a girlfriend.
At that point, it was clear to me that Matthew was a man of priority, but I soon came to realize he was also a man of chivalrous character.
I don't think of females as objects. I think of them as other people.
A philosopher, indeed. But before I could engage further with his wise words, I noticed some ongoers stopping to laugh at him. How dare they, I thought to myself. Do they not recognize the modern day genius standing before them? I was on my way to give them a stern talking to. But in that moment, I turned back to see Matthew with a smile on his face, which led me to believe that perhaps he had a different interpretation than I did.
Do you think that when people are laughing, like, are they laughing with you or are they laughing at you?
They're laughing for me. I get a whole lot of, well, good luck, and I hope everything works out for you, and I hope you find one.
Apparently, Matthew was not only a philosopher, but an alchemist as well, transmuting what appeared to be mockery into an insatiable drive for companionship. But I wondered if this drive was met with any success with the ladies.
What's your success rate with this?
2 dates, 5 numbers, and about $25.
Dang, maybe I should hold up the sign, I thought to myself.
Dang, maybe I should hold up the sign.
I also said that out loud.
You can, but you gotta do it right.
But of course. I was all but a fool to believe I could hold up such a glorious sign without any knowledge on how it's properly done. Luckily for me, Matthew took me to his old spot in order to give me a live demonstration. And in my heart of hearts, I knew that this was the moment things would start to make sense. The moment where things would connect. The moment where I would witness the glory of Matthew.
Yeah, it's just not happening right now. It's a
Yeah.
Thursday, and it's about what, 2:33?
Right, because you don't get numbers on Thursday. Like, girls are less likely to
Right.
give numbers on Thursday. Like, it's
Right.
it's statistically
But
true.
After standing for what felt like hours, Matthew and I finally got a singular woman to acknowledge the sign. The demonstration was a success, but I wondered why Matthew didn't press any further.
Maybe if you asked her, she might be.
no, that's the creepy part.
Yeah.
If I do that, then it turns into I'm a creep.
Right, you don't want to be a creep.
No, I ain't no creep.
You want the girls to come to you.
I want them to come to me.
Same. I mean, although Matthew's demonstration was vastly a success, it wasn't met without its few rejections.
Hey, do you guys like his sign?
You like my sign? No?
But regardless, Matthew kept smiling. It was as if not a single negative judgment passed through his brain. It made me wonder, What was the mystery behind his joy?
Jesus!
The mystery was solved, but it started to make me think that perhaps I misjudged Matthew in a similar way that I didn't want to be misjudged. I had to get to know more about him, and so we decided to chat at a gourmet restaurant. Subway. We went to Subway.
Philly cheesesteak. I miss them from home.
You come from Philly?
Nope. I come from Cleveland, Ohio.
It was at that moment I knew exactly what made Matthew so bold.
I am a giant Subway fan.
Really?
Yes, when you're homeless, this is primarily what the people will give you here. All the years of me being homeless on Hollywood Boulevard, I had never ever come into here.
Really?
Never.
As we sat down to eat, Matthew educated me on the origins of the sign and how his previous life as a homeless man led him to holding it now.
With the homeless people, there's a rule. You put it on a sign, if you make a sign, it will happen. Well, we call our signs swords, because you have to be bold to stand there. Every one of my signs is I'm making a statement.
This blew my mind. To think a cardboard sign I merely saw as a cry for help was in actuality a deadly weapon used in making a poignant statement. Actually, let me stop the cat because I had no idea what the sign was trying to say, so I had to ask him.
What is your statement for the I'm looking for a girlfriend sign?
Social media sucks. I mean the dating thing. Nowadays, it's just a hookup. Let's just hook up. No,
You're not looking for the hookups.
I've had plenty of that.
Oh.
Clearly, I underestimated Matthew. He was already a killer with the ladies, but on the hunt for something deeper. Something that
Grows into a family. I turned 42 this November.
42 years young this month.
That's right. I lost my wife, my ex-wife, and my son to stupidity on my part and selfishness on hers. I'd like to have a child and watch it grow and nurture it and nurture her and enjoy being a family. Jesus, he lived one day at a time.
Word.
That's all we can do. One day at a time, one step at a time. That's one thing I found out about homelessness. It's one day at a time.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. Well, after my wife left me for another man, I got on the Greyhound and I came out here and I was homeless for 9 years. Got with a program. They got me off the streets, got me an apartment. I got off the drugs, stopped drinking as heavy. And basically that's my story.
After hearing Matthew's story, I began to realize that there was a lot more to his character than just his lack of a partner. Like how he could talk to birds, how he was a 3rd-degree black belt in Judo Kwan, a fan of punk rock, and a rebel to authorities. The more time I spent with Matthew, the more I questioned why I was so concerned with other people labeling me as lonely, when it was so easy to look past in him, especially since in his mind, he had a completely different story of who he was.
So you don't feel embarrassed to hold the sign at all?
Not at all. I'm very proud to hold this sign because it's true. And I'm a good-hearted man.
Wow. Absolutely powerful.
After all was said and done, there was only one last thing for me to do.
I think it's about time I hold the sign. Give it here.
Okay.
If Matthew could do it despite all he'd been through, certainly I could do the same, wielding the weapon and making a statement of my own. My time was now and my adrenaline felt the same. I could do this! I could do this! I could!
Maybe I should smile. Like maybe the smile.
Smiling helps.
Smiling helps.
Smiling helps.
This was the most embarrassed I'd felt in a long time. It was as if every person that laughed and looked at me could make a judgment about an area of my life I haven't exactly felt the most validated in. But for every second I felt uncomfortable, I remembered Matthew holding the sign. He would always smile. He was never upset, but was always himself. And when I looked at things from that perspective, I realized something. Holy crap! Nobody cares! Could it be that I was just projecting my negative emotions towards loneliness through the eyes of other people as a way to judge myself, when in actuality, nobody gave a damn? And if they did, it's just like, bro, go get a job or something. Like, all of a sudden, the smiles and the laughter of those around me started to work for me instead of against me. It felt good to make other people laugh, and it didn't feel like it was at my expense. I think it's because I changed the narrative. Let's go ahead and close this video out. When it comes to the relationships we want and desire, it's important that we become aware of the narrative we tell ourselves in pursuit of them, and who we allow to spin that narrative for us. Do you describe yourself as lonely, unattractive, or unwanted? Maybe you even see yourself as unlucky or undeserving of love. Whatever the case may be, these narratives matter, and I think you owe it to yourself, the people around you, the world, and quite possibly God to spin that narrative in a direction that's positive. So thanks, Matthew. I think I made a pretty good statement. It's Fitz, and I overthought this, so you don't have to. Peace.
Please, whatever you do, from my own personal experience, don't use drugs.